Uganda, there are communities that practice female genital mutilation, mostly in Sebei and Karamoja. In Amudat district, FGM was practiced by 100% of the population. And then the neighboring sub-counties in Moroto and in Nakapiripirid. And our focus was Amudat, and then we also added one sub-county in Moroto, in Tapach, where the FGM practice is also quite strong. We used local names because we wanted to identify with the community. Tipin are girls and Kor are women. As long as the girl reaches puberty, she's supposed to undergo FGM, and it's a rite of passage. When you undergo FGM, then you become a woman. So that also means you are ready for marriage. And actually, when during the period of FGM, they are dressed up in colorful clothes and advertised so that people who are ready to marry, whether they are 50 years older than the girls or they are younger men, as long as they have cattle to pay bride wealth, they can pick any of the girls and marry them.
In 2010, the Prohibition of Female Mutilation Act ruled FGM, or female genital mutilation, in Uganda illegal. However, despite this law, FGM is still practiced in the country, especially in eastern Uganda, in Sebei and Karamoja region, where it is part of the traditional culture. For those to whom this is outside their own culture, FGM might be mistaken to be similar to male circumcision, which is legal and involves the removal of foreskin. FGM, on the other hand, involves the partial or total removal of external female genitalia or other injury to female genital organs for non-medical reasons.
FGM, it's a culture in Pokot land and Uganda. Pokot is in the border of Uganda and both in the border of Kenya.
So why is this practice still carried out?
We went ahead, as a government, plus the IPs like Nahu, like Zoa, we go in to synthesize them. So when we interviewed the TBS or the Katas, they told us it was their incoming generating activity. That's where they survive from. They cut the glittery, they cut the minor majora and the major. Then they close it. They just give a small opening down, direct to the vagina. And when you see as a midwife, even time for examining a woman, just to examine how is the cervix, it is difficult. These two fingers cannot enter. And even there is a time I experienced one girl who came, the whole scar was closed completely. She told me she went after she was pregnant. Now she was having problem of urine. Her bladder could get full, but to urinate became a problem. Now time for delivery came. There was nowhere the baby can pass, so it needed an operation. And then sometimes they don't even get medicine for treatment because they know the law does not want, so they hide in the bushes there. And others result getting sepsis because the wounds become septic. Others even they develop tumors because of that healing process. There is that clotting of blood, so that the wound can even refuse to heal.
Many men could die, bleeding, and of course we saw that many girls were marrying at the tender age. Probably when the girl is about 12, 10 years. And once a girl is mutilated, of course, that is a gateway to marriage. And having done that, I found that when we interacted with the communities, these city-based people, they told us that FGM is not their culture. They just got it as a result of intermarriages with the Pokot of Kenya, the Pokot of Amudat. Abu kata keng karung itu mana kanu ini, ane hari pikir ni ayang oi piti olah dia muni ayang oi ngode angkat tunga yang mana naik ragu ayah sih. Apa dia kini teman aku rugi giling candu atuno. Aduh dia kedawin, ingin guna bara kengnya, terus bara kengnya buru terus nggak dapat terlihat apa tuan dia apa tu. Apa ya tuan kau anak kau, mamuni itu kerja gini boleh lo kolong, abu yang lama kuan kerja gini. Poni to e bayo ko ri ni boko ye ko joto wa pe nga dingi tichi ala kali ay nga e ko ki chawani lo sang de lo dom ak boyo sham make tama mune tichi lo ti yo ko nga du tani o ke dara ketan
boreng ini be tala karol ngude da bu ngaw yang ni ceda nang yang na ceda e bo geto ne ge ko tere nyele mu ngi ci ala kali ay ketan yara ketan aji kana ra ketan do ginda ko bo yo ko nam bre ti lo ti yow e ko ken ta kai akai ikke sene itane re ki zala to ma kai e ara pe ke poro bon ani ara uni atijas tala shakena tolo re ke poto no na ugi ya thank you ko ke abi amale karanis kani erga kina mo kina kilo shoki ni boko kida kanini kuni abu aya ngulu ka sukul ane erga kina ngini ata mai angi tanga to mai aya bonge ngulu ke lo sukul da nyoro ka ngulu tana bongo de angi tunga aya ngata matu mwen ke shedwe kala we bi amale karanis tamada ya ngiro ka pelo na bonyo akidungu de oya ni ro sukul oya sikiti boni ara kidunga kichani chana awata angi tunga.
It was not a good culture. When I was young, in primary class in Amudat, I was like 7 years. I ran to see my sisters who had gone to circumcise. So when the kata was doing, it was really terrible because you see the girl opening the legs and other old women are just behind here. The old men are there with the spears and they cut. At that time, I did not understand what they just cut in the private part. For me, I thought they are cutting everything. But when now I grew up, it gave me a negative attitude on FGM. In our family, we are 7, and I'm the firstborn, but I'm the only one not circumcised. I happened to become negative to it because I saw with my naked eyes. I was married off, I produced 4 children, then later I went back to school because I was abused. They have even songs they could sing, those women, the co-wives. And even the sisters-in-law, they abuse, they sing for you bad songs. So you can even feel like going back to circumcise. But for me, what I did was just to go back to school and I became a midwife.
Ngalamu tadi awak ganyo penyoman, laka pisa umbolo kemuta monta kemin, kemuta atayi ya kegait kalau itu, kela gua tayi kengati kerja. Kenyor nyuci ngolai we wasagalip amela keiter le ngini acha jo onyet nyo ke ngile chi ngile tang men ke kemut chi tang mal sangine ku i chamun kamakame kamamunda asara nyo nyo banyoman o sawa nyo tini ke moto tini aga mota ke nyilani o makiki melani kenyo ne nya wolo nyetele ye maswa nya mane kiti ke bage mota ta por kle agta terurat ngotor de mela kemuta ke je beta tachi kini kiran da mamu tanya mun tanya na kira git mutata baca talikan kira git mutata tika nyuru jangan lono toro tika git mutata ki ataka muci agta pemonu aglusia kunyara maiye nyokaramba mutat kekejana nyula lama muta nyici munu tame nyara leji bapi usuya mito mon tanya na kong nyor pajebi aman nyine ke kensio aku mon nyolioi Mbola ni takala kya laman la mamuta ni chimon akwani takala oteba mon bajudi no ta somi ateba le mota nya legi tinga ko mala legi open kanyina ni ko pamon ni.
According to the World Health Organization, there are 4 types of FGM which are classified as Type 1. This is the partial or total removal of the clitoral glands, the external and visible part of the clitoris, which is the sensitive part of the female genitals, and or the prepuce or clitoral head, the fold of skin surrounding the clitoral glands. Type 2. This is the partial or total removal of the clitoral glands and the labia minora, the inner folds of the vulva, with or without the removal of the labia majora, the outer folds of the skin of the vulva. Type 3, also known as infibulation. This is the narrowing of the vaginal opening through the creation of a covering seal. The seal is formed by cutting and repositioning the labia minora or the labia majora, sometimes through stitching, with or without removal of the clitoral prepuce or the clitoral hood and glands. Type 4. This includes all other harmful procedures to the female genitalia for non-medical purposes. For example, pricking, piercing, incising, scraping, and cauterizing the genital area. Even with the practice being made illegal in Uganda, some communities still go ahead to participate. More than 200 million women across 30 countries have been subjected to this practice. There are a number of reasons why. 1. Support for abandonment is widespread, but persistent strong social influences and peer pressure limit women's ability to completely abandon the practice. 2. Male circumcision. Women's desire to participate at male circumcision ceremonies, a key community social event that only allows mutilated women to attend. 3. Younger age at cutting. In Pokot communities in Karamoja, FGM is taking place at 14 to 15 years as a rite of passage before marriage. 4. Changes in practice. Girls undergo the illegal practice in secret and even cross the border to Kenya, where anti-FGM law is perceived to be weaker. 5. Potential intergenerational effects. Mutilated women are more likely to support their sons' marriage only to mutilated girls. They tend to be the promoters of FGM.
Ambaneno, gangalamutat. Mbolo ta yeti kushida. Mbolo tine tinga kamoteni mukeni yitenyo ko. Ma toenanye. Ma mute isa accept lawer.
I decided to work with Nawo Irish Aid because it is helping really to end up the practice of FGM. The challenges that we encounter at times is that it's hard to get the culprits. It's really hard to get those hands of Kenya when these girls of ours go there, like those days, of course.
We have many problems, like hard to reach area. Like when you travel from here up to there, maybe the rain will get you on the way. And then we have also some community members are also the arrogant in the community.
This is a community where education is not impressed, and especially girl-child education. And the main reason is Pokot as a community values a girl child so much. And the reason is we marry our girls with many cows. Our pride price is very high. And so when you speak of taking a girl child to school, it's like you're making the family to lose what the girl would have given when she's at home, not at school.
Ani ko bakoro din joge mot klo konga nyama munechi lakini jilo din tengsi da nyaman tulusi cheke mot nyebo samaga mamunechi lusi nyokaram nyaman
malaja ba police chu mami je ngong ro kai bolo ka chang e te ke ba ke sin gari bu sete chobo mun jamun ke ka ki choni jole sana ngo mun chona yer ku pete ku mutakai For us,
since we are in the border, we are having challenges in the border. These girls, they circumcise in the border. Those days before the law, the policies of Uganda were put in that if they get somebody who are circumcised, they put in jail. They jail for some years. So now the Ugandan part, the Pokot of the Ugandan, they know that law is very serious. So they have resulted now going to cut from Kenya.
Kapamun ng school, nya vodeng, ke mun pela ke amot, nya pe semek, ke menengin ngala ken shop mun jamun kech, mela ta ke mun ka mun kech, bolo nya ni nya ta kumi tani kite, bolo ka kawo ngatia, nya grumu wo yakutya wo yakishapi, ka pesta ngala mota ta, ako na school, ka waya ka kor, nya ni nya ka swaba la ke karamit. Takal otine kami chama magen jon le samak ke ki kep mon kale mi mo che ngo kumana ne chine ki kenje kabela ke mot ombakine tu choni ne ki konu le ki nyu tietia ka ke cham kara chena le ki be jamon cho muto te nye nyoni yoge la faida kabisa kapa mun konan mun school tin ngo takal katawi kwip mun ngo ke kamot nyota so ba choni ke ja sơ ngo pi cho mi to ni to cho li no yutin ba ka ni sen cho giro su mun ngo ka kipuno lo lu pa ka ta ke ros le ke kamot nya anda eo ta ko mo ka ke shin go joni lo to ke kamot ke yo doi nyon yo ga so ala ke la ka faida kabisa
mi to mo de nya nyo le ta wa nyon de nya mo mu ni chi a go ti na ta so ala mo mu ta ni pa ka ni sa ala gini tu jo basta ala ma gini tu basta ko mo basta la a to mo ngo ko mu tai klen de to ko kisan ko mare ko kisan ka chi mare ko mu da ji chi kisan ala man pa nyu bi chen pa na u a ka na po ku ne te ja kanam ta ke ngo gini tu jo basta.
This project has helped us so much. We have carried a number of dialogues. Actually, even within this village, we have carried a number, almost so many, from the inception of this project. Because I remember the first inception meeting I attended in Hamdat. When they introduced, there was a lady came from Nahuo. We were able to attend a meeting in Hamdat. Then we were able to identify the people called combatants who were sent to Hamdat for training. Others were sent to the other Hamdat, and then another group was trained in Moroto town. So all these people, and the people who brought in were former cutters. So these people are now becoming champions talking to the rest of the communities, talking to their children, because some of them have grandchildren, some of them have their own children. So now they are becoming champions and they are talking to these communities. That's the biggest achievement, because we need to bring the people themselves who have been affected by this cutting, so that they can talk to the communities, they can talk to their children. Now you find that a number of girls now, as we speak, those ones who have grown up, at least many of them have married when they are not cut. The boys now are marrying uncut girls, because the testimony they give is a girl who has been cut. If you have sex with that lady, compared to the other one, at least the one who is not cut is better off than the other one who is cut, because the enjoyment is so different.
You realize that this project began in 2017. It is a 3-year project. You know, at the time we began, when you look at the culture, something to do with the culture is one of the sensitive parts that you can deal with. So one of the successes that we've realized is that on FGM, when we began, it was very rare to find the number of men accepting to marry these girls. But now we are realizing there's a change of attitude in men. They have begun accepting to marry some of these girls uncircumcised, which used not to be there before. Secondly, many of the girls are running to school now. You realize that there's a lot of increase of girls in school that we call the rescued girls. And we think this is as a result of awareness that we have been creating in the communities. The project also works with the SAGE beneficiaries. These are the elders who get grants. Why we selected that as an activity is that we felt that the SAGE beneficiaries are elders who are more influential in the community. And the success of Register there is that we realize that many of the Kokomelkong are the women who do the cutting, have surrendered some of their weapons, and the weapons I speak about here is the knives, and they have joined the group to fight against some of these bad practices. We have a lot of interventions that have been done by many groups of people. We have been having ZOA, we've been having right now, and many others that I cannot mention. But that does not mean that we need to stop there. With the community, we have to struggle and continue, because something to do with the culture and change, most especially around culture, is not something that would come once and it just goes like that. So the struggle still continues. Still, to the community members, I would like to tell them that once a culture is bad and it has been banned by everyone, that means it is a bad one. So I would ask my fellow communities, let's abandon this culture and embrace some of the cultures that we know are going to build our communities.
So for us, we are seeing realization of human rights for the women and girls in Amudat. It's a process. It's a gradual process, and I think we are progressing towards that process. We want to see people shunning FGM. Already we have people who are shunning FGM, but we want to see entire communities shunning FGM. We want to see women and girls in Amudat free and able to interact with the rest of the community without any stigma.
As government, we are looking at how to help address the challenges that affect the girl child and other sectors which are vulnerable. And we found, as a government, we found NAU a handy organization. Where we have reached so far is good, but it's not good to stop there. So there's a need for more support to NAU and the other structures to ensure that some innovative approaches can become pillars to give us benchmarks for progress.
There are two schools that double as safe spaces for girls. Kalas Girls Primary School and then Katikit Primary School, which is a mixed primary school.
I'm very proud of Irish Aid. They have provided me with the administration block, the 2 dormitories, the school fence, which has really boosted many children to come to this school. So I appreciate what Irish Aid has done to Katikit Primary School.
Irish, thank you so much for what you've been doing to support the NGOs who are working with us around, the CPOs around, and even the bursary scheme that is there every year. We want to say thank you so much for that, and we want to say that may that funding continue until we see that at least the problem has been reduced to a 0 level, so that people will live with integrity, people will live with full rights, enjoying their rights and living like other people are living.
So we want to see that change happening. We want to see Amudat benefiting from the development that is happening in Uganda like any other part of the country.